Before we get started, don't forget to tap that subscribe button so you never miss more real-life stories like this one. I never thought my marriage would collapse the way it did. But looking back now, with the clarity of hindsight, I realized the warning signs had always been there. Small fractures I ignored, convincing myself everything was fine. That we were fine. Zachary and I had been married for 4 years. On the surface, life looked steady. A small but warm home with a worn-out couch, mismatched mugs in the kitchen, steady jobs, and a predictable routine that gave us comfort, even if it lacked excitement. We weren't one of those picture-perfect couples you see online, but what we had felt solid. At least, that's what I believed. Beneath it all, though, something unspoken simmered. A tension I didn't fully grasp until it all unraveled. The real story began with Austin. Austin had been my friend since college. Over 10 years of late-night study sessions, breakups, laughter, and inside jokes no one else would understand. Yes, there had been a brief spark once. A kiss, a short-lived fling that burned out almost instantly. It had never been serious. Over the years, it faded into the background of our friendship. To me, Austin was steady, familiar, safe. But to Zachary, he was something else entirely, a threat. At first, Zachary never said much. He was polite when Austin's name came up, even friendly the few times they crossed paths. But eventually, I started to notice the subtle changes, the tight jaw when Austin texted me, the way his face shifted when I laughed at an old joke, the silence that followed when college stories resurfaced. I brushed it off, chalking it up to insecurity. After all, I was married to Zachary, not Austin. Surely, it was just jealousy he'd grow out of. I never truly listened. The breaking point came when Austin invited me to Myrtle Beach. It wasn't some secret getaway, just a group trip with old college friends. A weekend of drinks, sunshine, and nostalgia. I was excited, eager for a break from routine. When I told Zachary, I expected hesitation, maybe a reluctant nod. Instead, his reply was cold and sharp. "You're not going." At first, I laughed, thinking he was joking. But his eyes told me he meant it. He explained that he didn't trust Austin, that their history made him uncomfortable, that boundaries had been crossed too often. He said he had put up with it for years, but this trip was too much. I was furious. Who was he to dictate my choices? His reaction felt suffocating, controlling. I fought back, insisting the trip was harmless, that I deserved this break, that he was blowing everything out of proportion. Then came his ultimatum. If you go, don't expect the same marriage when you come back. I should have stopped then, really stopped, to think about what he was saying. But instead, I took it as a challenge. That night, I packed my bag, kissed him goodbye with stubborn defiance, and drove off to Myrtle Beach. The trip started just as I imagined. Old friends, laughter on the beach, clinking glasses, slipping back into familiar rhythms with Austin. Teasing, joking, confiding. But somewhere between late-night drinks and sunset skies, things shifted. One night, while everyone else played drinking games inside, Austin and I ended up alone on the balcony. The ocean shimmered under the moonlight as we talked about what could have been. His eyes lingered, and when our hands brushed, I didn't move away. He leaned closer, not quite a kiss, but not innocent either. I froze. I didn't stop it quickly enough, and I didn't fully let it happen. I told myself it was just nostalgia, fueled by alcohol. But deep down, I knew better. The next day, still foggy from the night before, I made another mistake. Austin and I posed for a beach photo, me in a bikini, his arm casually around my waist. We looked carefree, grinning at the camera. Without thinking, I posted it on Instagram with the caption, "Living my best life." I didn't stop to think about Zachary. I didn't think about how he'd feel when he saw it. I didn't think at all. When I came home, the silence was unbearable. His car was in the driveway, but half his things were gone. I called in a panic, and when he finally answered, his voice was flat. "I'm done, Paisley. I saw the picture. I told you what this would mean." I scrambled for excuses, insisted nothing had happened, begged him to listen. But he cut me off. "You chose him. You humiliated me. You turned our marriage into a joke." And then click. I stood there frozen, the reality of my choices crashing down on me. The fallout was brutal. Friends, family, acquaintances, everyone judged. "Did you really think that was okay? That picture was disrespectful. How could you do that to Zach?" I deleted the post, but the damage was done. As for Austin, whatever flicker of something had sparked that night instantly burned out. There was no affair, no secret romance, just blurred lines and a regret I couldn't escape. When Zachary finally returned weeks later, it wasn't for reconciliation but closure. He looked older, tired, broken. His voice cracked as he said, "I trusted you. I told you how I felt, and you didn't care. I wasn't asking you to cut off friends, just to respect boundaries, and you threw that away." I tried to explain, tried to apologize, but he didn't listen. He walked out, and this time he didn't come back. The months that followed left me alone with nothing but guilt. I replayed every choice, every argument, every time I dismissed his concerns. I thought I was fighting for freedom, but in truth, I destroyed the man who loved me most. Zachary went to therapy, rebuilt his life, and filed for separation. I didn't fight it. How could I? I had shattered something sacred, something that couldn't be repaired. Looking back, it was never just about a photo or a trip. It was every time I failed to listen. Every moment I chose defiance instead of understanding. Austin faded away. The marriage ended. There was no happy ending, only a moment of pride that cost me everything. Zachary is gone, and I'm left with the hardest truth of all. Love isn't about pride or rebellion. It's about trust, respect, and boundaries.